So I made a video a few days ago. One of the things that I was talking about was Bitcoin and how it relates to Elon Musk. Elon Musk basically is the largest influencer in cryptocurrency. And one of the things I stated in the video is that the price bump in Bitcoin was almost directly caused, or at least there's an extreme correlation between Elon Musk, his tweets, and then where Bitcoin's price went from there. This is really interesting. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is that video came out maybe like 2 days ago. And then the Wall Street Journal posted an article saying almost the exact same thing. Not to say that they were watching my video, because I don't think that's the case. I think this is just kind of common sense. But it's very cool when I was able to beat the Wall Street Journal to the same idea about 2 days earlier. But I wanted to take kind of a little bit of a minute to talk about it and talk about why it's so important and why Elon Musk is so important to the ecosystem. For better or worse, Elon Musk has taken on a persona that has more power to influence cryptocurrency than anybody in the world with a single tweet. And when he does these things, either intentionally or just out of happenstance or for fun, he really can move the market. And it's an incredibly interesting thing. But we're getting back to a price point that was right around where Bitcoin was prior to Elon coming on board and being a fan. And now people are pretty angry with Elon. There's this sentiment of they were very, very upset that he took away the ability for Tesla to take payments in Bitcoin. And the entire dialogue was kind of like, why did he do that? If you asked me, I think Tesla probably receives very, very little actual payment in Bitcoin. If you understand how most hodlers or Bitcoin owners work, they buy and hold Bitcoin. They don't really transact in Bitcoin. And part of the reason is there's some tax consequences that go with selling your Bitcoin to buy something. So if I bought Bitcoin for $1,000 and then I sold it at $50,000 and I sold it or used it to transact to buy a Tesla at $50,000, then I would owe capital gains tax on the $49,000 in profit that I had, even if I didn't sell it into the US dollar, even if I just traded it for something else. So because of that reason, a lot of times, even if you hold a substantial amount of Bitcoin, it makes more sense just to use fiat US dollars to buy something. So the reason I bring this up is I would guesstimate that probably less than $5,000 in Tesla orders were actually done in Bitcoin. I don't have the actual data to back this up. This is purely my speculation or kind of like what I'm thinking, but I just don't see a lot of people that own Bitcoin wanting to give that up for their Tesla. But I see a lot of Bitcoin owners that do take loans out and use fiat currency for it. But the Bitcoin is just such a historically good store of value that it makes more sense to hold that and use a different currency. So my opinion is that he did that in order to kind of acquiesce to some of the environmentalists, where I think that it was a good showing of faith without a materially adverse effect on anything other than just almost like semantics, right? Because if you assume it was $5 million, $5 million compared to their $1.5 billion investment, which was probably worth $3 billion, is really like a very small drop in the bucket. But when people start saying they hate Elon and making it into like a very big deal and getting very upset, I think that actually changed the dynamics. He is not a guy that you would want to have against you or your cause because he's just so powerful. And so at this point in time, it seems pretty clear that he's championing Dogecoin. And that's really interesting because Dogecoin is, up until Elon started picking it up, was really like a nascent coin. I mean, I think it was like number 50 on the charts. Obviously, it was originally a joke. We can kind of go back and forth as to whether that really matters, the initial inception of Dogecoin and what the messaging was or why it was created. At the end of the day, Elon really does hold a lot of power in the crypto markets. So it'll be interesting to see if Tesla actually goes, it'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin actually goes lower than where it was when Tesla came on board. If it maintains those levels of stability right around the $30,000 mark for Bitcoin, I actually think there's a strong bull case you could make that we're still in the middle of a bull cycle, but that we had an aberration because of Elon Musk. And so it went up and then back down, but we're almost like in a straight line. And if that's the case, then you're probably still on track with some of these like stock to flow models that are pretty popular. But if we break down below that point, if we go back into the 20s, 25, things of that nature, we may be looking at the end of a bull cycle. Now, let me say something else that I think could be really interesting to think about. Traditionally, in the past, what we had was very cyclical, like 4-year cycles that would be a big upswing, a crash, and then a big upswing due to the halving. We might not have those same cycles anymore because there's a lot of professional investors and some of that may be priced in. So we may see a more erratic chart into the future. And this was actually something I said in one of my very first videos about 2 months ago, is that this Bitcoin bull run is going to look different. And I think that's a real reality, is there may be more ups and downs. We may not go into a crypto winter. And I guess all of this being said, what I'm really saying is I'm not sure what is going to be next, but I wouldn't count on it looking identical to the past. I wouldn't make a judgment call based on the past week that we're totally out of a bull cycle, but I wouldn't discount the power of the momentum that's currently going on and say we're certainly in the bull cycle. So all of that being said, again, day to day, interested to see how it progresses. Today, last time I checked, about $35,000 of Bitcoin trending downward. Ethereum's really down. Ethereum's down over 50%, where it's looking like it's breaking down through through $2,000 back on a downward trend. And that's kind of everything for today. Love to hear your comments. If you agree, disagree, open to discussion, always responsive in the comments below. Thanks a bunch.